What's up, y'all? Sparta here. So, earlier I tried to record a video comparing video stabilization on the Note 10 versus not using it on the V60, but some odd reason in the camera app while recording on the Note 10, it doesn't actually show you how it looks while you're recording. You gotta wait till you play the video back. So I'm just not gonna do that. I'm just gonna compare in auto mode, 1080p 60, no sort of video stabilization on either of them being turned on in auto mode, and let me know how it looks and stuff like that. And one nice thing that I've noticed and that I've found out using both of them is that while recording in auto mode, you can switch the cameras back and forth either by just tap the switch circle that's right above the stop button, or swiping right on the screen. That's really nice. So yeah, this is how it looks on the Note 10. What you can't do on the Note 10 is that you can't zoom out to get into the wide angle camera, even in 1080p 60 frames per second mode. So just keep that in mind if that's what you want to do and you like that kind of feature. You can't do that. Whereas on the V60, which I'll show you guys right here, you can. So as you guys can see, I'm on the V60 and I zoom out and it goes to the wide angle. I zoom back in and it goes to the regular camera. And you could either pinch to zoom on the screen, or where it says 1 times 1, the X 1.0, you can tap and hold it and you could zoom in that way or zoom out. And you can zoom in on the Note 10, you just can't zoom out, like I said. So yeah, let's do my typical testing here, where I just go down that little walk-in area for stabilization and stuff like that, show you guys how it looks. So this is a bit of a hill right here, bit of a slope. So this is a pretty decent way to test it, I guess. So I'll do that, and I'll show you guys, like I said, on the Note 10. Here's on the V60. You can do it as well. Just switch to the camera, front-facing camera, and it's nice. It looks quality. Both can do 4K 60 on the front camera as well. Though I think the V60 can do stabilization where the Note 10 can't. So keep that in mind as well. I'll just take a little shortcut here since there's no cars. So yeah, I'm gonna get to my next spot and just, start recording from there. So back here on the Note 10, as I said, you could zoom in like this if you want, but you could only stay in 1x zoom right now, so no zoom, obviously. And to me, it looks totally fine. Serviceable not to be able to do that. It's just a nice bonus on the V60 that you can do. I don't know if you could do that on the S20 or anything like that. Let me know in the comment section below if you can. Obviously, I don't have those phones, so I can't really talk about it. So I'm gonna switch back to the V60 here. Apologies, never mind. I thought, I swear when I was doing this earlier and yesterday, I wasn't able to get into steady record. So now I basically gotta delete that video. But I was able to not get into steady record while using auto mode. And being in go to 4K 60 and all that. I guess that's only when you do super steady mode, which I guess I'll also show you guys as well. It looked a bit weird and warped, even more so on the Note 10. But yeah, let me go to the Note 10 now. Alright, so back on the Note 10 here. It's hard for me to tell just by looking, but it looks a little bit more wobbly. It's not terrible though. So I'll do my typical test walking down here just to show you guys the difference in stabilization between the two. So here's Note 10. V60 again with steady recording turned off. Going back to the Note 10 here. I'm back on the Note 10. And I guess I'll do a panning shot here. And one thing that I say is a bit nicer on the Note 10 than on the V60 is that when you go back to the camera app on the Note 10, it'll stay on the mode you were on, whereas on the V60 it doesn't. But it's not really that big of a deal because you could change the layout, edit the layout of the camera app on both to indicate which mode you want at the forefront. So for example, on the left of the photo is manual video, and right after that is regular video. So it's like, it's not really that big of a deal, and you could just click on those rather than having to individually swipe, so it's easier to do it on both. So it's not really that big of a deal to me personally. I just wanted to bring that up. So yeah, honestly, what I would say is video stabilization should definitely be on both of these. I think it was honestly kind of weird because on the V60 it actually shows you what it looks like while you're recording, whereas on the Note 10 it was very like wobbly. It looked like stabilization wasn't even on, like it wasn't working. So I'll show you guys here quick just to show you. Well, I can't obviously show you. Well, maybe I can. Let me actually try this. Okay, so I'm on my Note 10 here and I go to settings. I go and I click video stabilization on, and I go back and then I start recording. And as you guys can see, look how wobbly that is, right? It doesn't even look like stabilization is on. And I guess I'll do a reverse shot comparing it on the V60 here. All right, so on the V60, and this is a gigantic phone, so I got to be really careful. I turn steady record on, as you guys can see here. I go back. I press record. Well, look how much smoother that is. Look how much smoother the viewfinder actually shows the video being. Whereas on the Note 10, it's still not doing it. It's still being a little bit wobbly for me. So that's kind of weird. And that's something why I described my original video. Because I was basically ragging on the Note 10. I was like, why does this look so wobbly? Why does it look like there's not stabilization on in the first place? So it was basically something that, sorry, had to switch it over. It's basically something that made me say, I'm gonna just redo this. And I just came back out here a little bit later, like 5 hours later, to do it. And it was just like, it's crazy because I was like, okay, this is weird. And yeah. So overall, I think the stabilization on the Note 10 is actually really good. I'd honestly say that both are a really good option in terms of that. But one thing I will say is that on the selfie cam, it's wider on the Note 10. Obviously I'm holding it out more, but this is just to show you guys what it'll look like. Obviously it's overexposed. Typical Samsung stuff, right? All you gotta do is tap the focus, and then you lower the exposure with the meter right there, and it'll lower it. So yeah, it'll do that. I'm gonna do the same on the V60 here. And as you guys can see on the V60, it's not as wide. To me, this is not that bad. If you have it like right here, it's not showing enough of the scene, but right here it's not terrible. I feel it could be a bit wider, but if you want a more wide scape, definitely go for the Note 10 in that regard. But this is totally fine for me personally. I don't do selfie videos, so I'm not the be-all end-all when it comes to that. So yeah, so I guess let's get into this last, roundup here. So which one is better, I guess, in terms of auto mode. It's kind of a tie, to be real. Though I feel, and let me actually check this right now. The phone decided to record in my pocket. Give me a second. Yeah, so on the Note 10, which I'll show you guys right here, actually. On the Note 10, if you go to... Oh, God, now I gotta switch to video. What I'll show you guys is that when you go to 4K, you can't turn video stabilization on. Like, I'm trying, as you guys can see here, and you can't. Whereas on the V60, you can record. Let me do a wider thing here. You record in 4K 60 and have video stabilization on. So that's actually really good. That's actually the leg up, I'd honestly say, on the V60 there, is that you get the option to have steady record on while you're recording in 4K 60 on the front camera. So that's really nice. In terms of colors, I think it's kind of a wash, honestly, in terms of how they look. Some people are like, oh, LG just isn't good with auto mode. They're only good in manual mode. Like, no. If you guys look at this video here, that's not really the case. I personally think this is actually really nice. I would still say use manual mode only because you get more granular control of what you can do. You don't even necessarily have to, like, mess with the dials or anything in manual mode and tune it or anything like that. If you really don't want to, just set it to full auto, and you could, you know, set your bit rate. You could set all that stuff. You could choose if you want to record in high quality audio. You could do all that stuff on the V60, and personally, I think that's the better bet because it gives you more options in that way. Whereas on the Note 10, oh God, it's on 2%. But on the Note 10, I'll show you guys here real quick. You go into Pro Video mode, and you go into Settings, and let me turn this display up. As I've stated before, my Note 10's battery is really washy, so keep that in mind. You don't get any sort of like audio settings in Pro Video mode. You don't get any bitrate settings. You just have to go by what the maximum is. So that's something that I say is not really that great on the Note 10. Who knows if that's a different thing on the S20 and if it'll be different on the Note 20. But I'm just speaking on what I got. And some people say, "Oh, why even comparing the Note 10? It's an older phone." One, it's still the latest Note, so that's something that I would say. And two, I'm not about to shell out $1,400 to get the S20 Ultra, or $1,400, whatever it is now, and should get the S20 Ultra if I'm not going to like it. I typically don't like S-series phones. I'm more of a Note person. So yeah, that's all I really want to say with this. For me personally, it's still going to be LG, though I will still use Samsung for, like, say, recording, like, videos at, like, my mom's house or something. Like, just having it, like, on my tripod and recording like that. That's where they work really well for me personally. But every other case, it'll probably be LG. And LG will still also be that thing for me personally when it comes to just using it on a tripod and stuff like that, too. But I guess another thing, one last thing, I totally forgot. Oh yeah, another thing is that, speaking of battery, and this isn't just because, oh, my Note 10's battery is bad, but it's just something I've noticed over time. And let me check the battery on here. This was on 40% when I left my V60. It's only on 34 now. And you say, oh, it's not that great. But here's the thing. I compared it to my OnePlus 6T, or even something closer, my LG G8. And the LG G8, if you record a whole bunch of stuff in succession, that battery will dip. Whereas on here with the Snapdragon 865 and a way bigger battery and a 1080p display, you just get way better runtime out of this if this is the stuff you like to do. So for me personally, this is something that's really nice. But that's all I really want to say for this video. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for support. Hope you guys have a wonderful, Thursday, whatever time of day it is your area. Have a good one.